Hello everyone, I'm Casualty. Today we'll be creating another League of Legends character build for Dungeons & Dragons. We finished the Mordekaiser video, and after I did, I posted another vote which is up for 24 hours, and after it ended, Sett was the clear winner. So I'm making a video for the boss today. Before we begin though, I want to say thank you for all the get well soon wishes while I was sick, and there have been so much support on the channel lately, and I want to thank each and every one of you. I will also have an announcement at the end of the video, but with that said, I'll get out of the way early. If you enjoy the videos I create just like this one, consider subscribing and dropping a like. Then leave a comment below telling me what character you'd like me to make next, or you'll find me playing AP Sett in your ranked games. We have to get through the lore, and luckily Sett doesn't have a ton of lore, but as usual I will summarize this as best I can. Born from an Ionian Vistaya and a Noxian human, the half-beast child was an outcast from the start. His birth appalled his mother's Vistayan community, which expelled the family for violating its tribal norms. The humans of Ionia were no more accepting of the taboo union through Sett's father's infamy, as a local pit fighter usually kept them from voicing their disapproval. What little security the family enjoyed vanished the day Sett's father disappeared. All of a sudden, those who had bitten their tongues at the sight of young Sett felt free to express their contempt. The boy was bewildered, wondering where his father had gone and why trouble suddenly seemed to be following them. Sett grew up quickly, becoming calloused on the face of the taunts and threats he endured, and before long he began using his fists to silence the insults. When news of his fights reached his mother, she made him swear not to go near the Noxian pits where his father had fought. But the more Sett fought, the more he thought of his father. Longing to find the man he only vaguely remembered, Sett snuck away to the pit late one night after his mother had gone to bed. Immediately, he was enthralled by the spectacle. Scores of Noxian soldiers fresh to the shores of Ionia roared with bloodlust from the stands around him. Down the center of the arena, fighters from all backgrounds and martial disciplines clashed in the gruesome duels with a variety of weapons. The winners handsomely paid a Noxian coin. When the event was over, Sett inquired about his father and learned the hard truth. His father had bought out his contract and left to tour more profitable pits abroad. He deserted his family to seek fortune on the other side of the world. Burning with rage, Sett asked the arena's matchmaker for a fight, hoping that somehow his father would return from his tour and be the opponent standing across the pit from him. The matchmaker assigned the boy a fight on the next card, figuring he would be easy fodder for one of the star combatants. Sett would prove him wrong. From the moment he threw his first punch, the Beast Boy Bastard was a pit fighting sensation. Though Sett had no formal martial arts training, his primal strength and ferocity more than compensated, and he leveled his more technically sound opponents like a battering ram, never abandoning hope that he might one day fight his father. He soon became the undisputed king of the pit, with a swollen coffer of prize money and a trail of broken opponents to his name. Night after night, Sett brought money and comforts to his mother, always lying about how he would acquire them. It warmed his callous heart to see her so proud of his success. No longer forced to toil at menial jobs, still Sett couldn't help but feel he could do better. Being the king of the pit was good, but being the person who owned the pit, that's where the real money is. Late one night, after defending his title in front of a record-breaking crowd, Sett presented his new demands to the Noxian matchmaker and his cronies. He suggested that they grant him control of the arena and its venue. When they refused, Sett barred the doors. Minutes later, the doors reopened and Noxians emerged, badly maimed, with a message on their bloody lips: the half-beast was the new boss. With the promoters out of the picture, Sett took control of the pit he once fought in. Ionians who had only recently been conditioned for war flocked to the arena, paying to satisfy an urge they only now knew they possessed. Sett took full advantage of their newfound bloodlust, accumulating wealth and power beyond his wildest boyhood dreams, as he transformed the pit into a hub and underground empire of gambling and vice. The half-beast who reigned supreme in the pit now runs his illicit enterprises with the same iron fist. Anytime someone challenges his authority, he personally reminds them where they stand. Every punch Sett throws is a blow to his old life of poverty and ostracism, and he intends to make sure that old life stays down. Some simple lore, but it gives us a good base. Now, before we get into the build, I have a bit of a disclaimer and some rules I'm making for this build. First off, we're going to be a bit mad here, which is an acronym for multiple ability score dependent. We're going to be spread out for our ability scores, meaning that you're going to be kind of spread thin. Second, we're going to be taking dips in multiple classes to make this work. And the third thing is, the reason we're taking multiple classes to make it work is because the tough thing with unarmed fighters is that they're not as effective when they primarily use strength as much as the dexterous ones are. Monks are better with their fists, but Sett uses his brute force mode as dexterous movements. Still though, we're going to try our best here to make an effective build while still being fun, and I'm probably going to surprise you. As for the rules of the build, we're going to be focusing on only our fists for damage. No sharp and pointy things, no bows, no arrows, no guns. For our race, I chose Shifter because it fits the most for Vistayan, but you could also choose two other things, such as Variant Human or Tabaxi, because Tabaxi, as it says in the description, have humanoid traits and cat-like traits. And it also says they can have a mix of these or as much or as little of one or the other, as long as they have both. And while Sett is half Wolverine because of his mom, there's no Wolverine-like race in D&D, so I felt Shifter was the closest option. And with Shifter, we get dark vision out to 60 feet, meaning we can see him dim light as if it were bright light and darkness as if it were dim light. We also get a shifting, which says as a bonus action we can shift and assume a more bestial form, and gain temporary hit points equal to 2 times your proficiency bonus, and you can do this a number of times equal to that proficiency bonus, and when you shift, you get additional bonuses based on the type of shifter you are. And for us, we're going to pick up Beast type, which gives us additional temporary hit points and increases our AC by 1 while shifted. For our ability scores, I'd recommend a 15 to Strength, a 13 to Dex, a 14 to Constitution, an 8 to Intelligence, a 13 to Wisdom, and a 9 to Charisma. From our race, we get a +2 and a +1 to 2 different stats, so we're going to be putting the +2 to strength and a +1 to dexterity, giving us a 17 strength and a 14 dex. Finally, for our starting class, or level 1, we're going to start Barbarian. As a Barbarian, you get a beefy D12 hit dice, and the reason we're not starting Monk here is that both Barbarians and Monks get unarmored defense, but they work differently. And the first type of unarmored defense you get is the one that you can use. You can't swap between them or choose different ones. You can't pick and choose. So for us, our unarmored defense, as a Barbarian says, our AC is equal to 10 plus our Dexterity modifier plus our Constitution modifier. And unlike the Monk version of it, you can use a shield if you wish and still gain this benefit. You won't be for the build because we're going to be using our fists, but you can if you would like. We also get Rage here, which says as a bonus action you can choose to rage, and while raging, you have advantage on strength checks and saving throws, and when you make a melee weapon attack using strength, you can gain a bonus to the damage roll that increases with your Barbarian level. And the best part of all, you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, giving us the much needed tankiness of beef while we're, angry. For your starting equipment, unfortunately there are no official knucklers or brass knuckles in D&D to use as weapons to augment our unarmed playstyle, so we're going to be using the classics, just your lefty and righty. And we're not going to be using armor in this build. So there's going to be no really magical items that I would recommend. If you find some magical items, or maybe if you work with your DM to homebrew some items for you, then feel free to do that. However, for us, this is going to be the one episode where we're not really going to have any items or magical things we're looking for. At level 2, we are a Barbarian level 2, and we get Reckless Attack, which says, when we make our first attack on our turn, we can choose to do them recklessly. Doing so gives us advantage on melee attack rolls made using strength during this turn, but all attack rolls made against you will also have advantage until your next turn. So it's good if you're going to be going out, but remember that the enemy that will hit you back just as hard if they're still standing. We also get Danger Sense here, which says you have advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects you can see, such as traps and spells. To gain this benefit, you cannot be blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. Moving on to level 3, we're Barbarian level 3, and here we get a Primal Path or a Barbarian subclass. And many things could fit here, but I think for us, Path of the Zealot works nicely here. It gives us Divine Fury, which says while you're raging, the first creature you hit on each of your turns with a weapon attack takes extra damage equal to 1d6 plus half your Barbarian level. The extra damage can be Radiant or Necrotic, which you choose when you reach this level. We're going to be taking Radiant damage here. You also gain Warrior of the Gods, which says if a spell such as Raise Dead is trying to restore your life but not undeath, the caster no longer needs the material components to do so. So that 500 gold worth of diamonds, yep, don't worry about it. Your D&D will cover the tab. Now, the funny thing I thought about was trying to think of a deity. He puts a lot of faith and care into his mom, so why wouldn't his mom be his deity? You never know. I think that'd be kind of a cool trait, a good mama's boy that's just trying to fight and defend his mom. That's really kind of cool. I like it. At level 4, we're going to be a Barbarian level 4, so I'm going to mention something here as we get our ability score improvement. Constitution and Dexterity increases our armor class, making us harder to hit. But at the end of this build, you will have the same AC no matter which one you focus on, but what does change is the amount of hit points you will have at the end and your initiative bonus. So pick Constitution or Dexterity depending on what you prefer, but for us, I'm going to be taking Constitution here to be tankier. So we're going to be taking a +2 to our Constitution at this ability score improvement level. At level 5, we'd be a level 1 Monk, and Monks have D8 hit dice. Now in League of Legends, I noticed that Sett doesn't really punch angrily. He's calm and focused, but like I said earlier, he puts all of his weight behind those punches. So making him strength-based is still the focus, but unfortunately punching is still mostly a Monk thing in D&D. So we have to take a level here early on to get the martial arts feature, which says, at Monk level 1, we can roll a D4 instead of our normal damage for our unarmed strikes, which will help us for now until we hit our next level. And when we make an attack with an unarmed strike or Monk weapon, we can make an unarmed strike as a bonus action, which is why we're really here for the bonus action attack. This helps us dish out a little bit more damage, and it says we can also use our dexterity for our damage on our punches instead of strength, but like I said, we're still focusing on strength. At level 6, we're going to deviate again and jump into Fighter, which at level 1 Fighter, we get Second Wind, letting us heal a bit on combat. As a bonus action, we can regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus our Fighter level. And we also get our Fighting style, and here we're picking up Unarmed Fighting, which now changes our unarmed strikes to 1d6 plus our strength modifier, but if we're not wielding any weapons or a shield, it is a d8 instead of a d6. And at the start of each turn, we can also deal 1d4 to a creature that is grappled by us, and we're going to be sticking with Fighter for a little while. So at level 7, we're Fighter level 2, and we get Action Surge, letting us take another action on our turn. We've talked about this many times before. Now you can attack somebody and take your bonus action to swing at them, and then you can Action Surge and take another attack and swing at them again. At level 8, we are a level 3 fighter, and we get our subclass here. And we're taking the Rune Knight. I went over the subclass in the Mordekaiser build, so I'll summarize here as best I can. So at level 3, you get a choice of 2 runes you can add to your gear and it influences you in different ways, or even your compatriots. We're going to be taking the Cloud and Frost runes here, which we went over the Frost rune in the Mordekaiser build as well, but for the Frost rune it says, While wearing or carrying an object with this rune on it, you have advantage on animal handling and intimidation checks, and you can invoke the rune as a bonus action to increase your sturdiness. For 10 minutes, you gain a +2 to all ability checks and saving throws that use Constitution or Strength. For the Cloud Rune, this rune emulates the deceptive magic used by some cloud giants. While wearing or carrying an object described as rune, you have advantage on sleight of hand checks and deception checks. In addition, when a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is affected by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to invoke the rune and choose a different creature within 30 feet of you. Other than the attacker, the chosen creature becomes the target of the attack using the same roll. This magic can transfer the attack's effects regardless of the attack's range. Once you invoke this rune, you can't do so again until you finish a longer short rest. We also get Giant's Might here, which says as a bonus action we can magically gain the following benefits. If you are smaller than large, you become large, along with anything you're wearing, but if you lack the room to become large, your size does not change. You have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. Once on each of your turns, one of your attacks with a weapon or unarmed strike can deal an extra 1d6 to the target on hit. This is a nice little bit bonus for our damage every single turn. Again, I will say that you're gonna be kind of bonus action heavy with this build. But at level 9, we're a level 4 fighter, and here we get our ability score improvement. We're gonna be bumping up our strength here to another +2. So now we're at 19. At level 10, we're a fighter level 5, and we're get extra attack, letting us make 2 attacks when we take the attack action on our turn, instead of 1. At level 11, we're a fighter level 6, and we get another ability score improvement, and we're going to be bumping up our Constitution here. And as I said earlier, no matter if you choose Dex or Constitution to increase, just make sure you pick one and stick with it. I'm sticking with Constitution, like I said earlier, to be beefier. At level 12, we're a level 7 fighter, and we get Runic Shield, which says we can evoke our magic to protect allies when another creature we can see within 60 feet of us is hit by an attack roll. You can use your action to force this attack to be re-rolled, and now the attack now has to use the new roll instead, which again is very powerful. So now we're pretty tanky, and we also have a bit of party utility to help out our allies. At level 13, we're going to be returning to Monk for a while, and we're going to be level 2 Monk here, giving us Ki and Unarmored Movement. Unarmored Movement says our speed increases 10 feet while not wearing armor or using a shield, and for Ki, we get a number of Ki points equal to our Monk level. So right now we have 2, and we can use them just on Flurry Blows, Patient Defense, or Step of the Wind. I have one over these in the Yasuo episode, which I will link in the top right. Flurry Blows lets us use a key point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action after we take the attack action on our turn. Patient Defense lets us use a key point to take the dodge action as a bonus action, or Step of the Wind lets us use a key point to take the disengage or dash action as a bonus action instead, and our jump distance is doubled for the turn if we use this option. At level 14, we're a level 3 Monk, and we get our subclass for Monk here. Many things would fit, but I actually thought about Drunken Fist for a bit on this build, but ultimately decided the way of the open hand was better, which gives us the open hand technique, which says when we hit a creature with one of our attacks granted by Flurry Blows, we can impose one of the following effects on the creature. Option 1, it must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or be knocked prone. Option 2, it must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed 15 away from you, up to 15 feet, so you can choose in between. Or option 3, it cannot take reactions till the end of your turn. This is really nice if you want to bop the creature and allow one of your buddies to move away from it without provoking opportunity attacks on them. We also get Deflect Missiles here, which lets us use our reaction to reduce the damage we take from a ranged attack by 1d10 plus our dexterity modifier plus our Monk level. And if you reduce the damage you take from that object to 0, you then catch the object that is thrown or shot at you. And we can then spend a key point to return it to sender or another target if you wish, using that same reaction. At level 15, we're a Monk level 4, and we get ability score improvement, and we can also choose an optional feature from Monk here called Quicken Healing, which says as an action we can spend 2 key points and roll a martial arts dice. We regain hit points equal to the number rolled plus our proficiency bonus. This won't be a ton of healing, but it is nice to have. For the ability score improvement, we're going to be increasing our strength by 1 and our charisma by 1, capping out our strength at 20 and leveling off our charisma to 10. Sett's a pretty handsome guy, and to be honest, that 9 there was bothering me, and the +1 isn't going to be better used anywhere else right now, so I'm going to throw it right there into Charisma. We also get Slow Fall here, which lets us use a reaction to reduce any falling damage we take, equal to 5 times your Monk level. At level 16, we are a Monk level 5, and we do get extra attack here as well, but extra attack features do not stack with each other. We also get Stunning Strike, which says when you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can spend a key point to attempt to stun the target. It must make a Constitution saving throw or be stunned until your next turn. This is a feature that annoys every single Dungeon Master because the condition is very strong. Another optional feature I'll mention you can take at this level is called Focused Aim, which says when you miss with an attack roll, you can spend 1 to 3 key points to increase your attack roll by 2 for each key point spent, potentially turning the miss into a hit instead. So this means that you can get up to a +6 onto that roll by spending 3 key points. You can think about picking this up, but again, it is optional. At level 17, we're a level 6 Monk, and we get Keen Powered Strikes, which makes our unarmed strikes count as magical for overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. And our unarmored movement gets an increase here, which moves the bonus to 15 feet instead of 10 feet. We also get the Wholeness of Body feature here, which says as an action you can regain hit points to equal to 3 times your Monk level. This is a nice bonus to have. And it also means that whenever you reach this level, you don't have to worry about that optional feature I mentioned earlier, the quicken healing, but they're both still nice to have. At level 18, we're picking up our final level in Monk for Monk level 7, and we get Evasion and Stillness of Mind. Evasion says when you're subjugated to an effect that lets you make a dexterity saving throw to only halve the damage if you succeed, you instead take no damage now if you succeed on the roll, and only half if you fail. This is insane for reducing damage you take from area effect spells like Fireball or even breath attacks from a dragon. At level 19, we're moving back to Fighter, and this is where we will finish our leveling process. At this level, we would be a level 8 Fighter, and we get an ability score improvement, and we're going to be top of our Constitution here, giving us a 20 Constitution and making our AC now a 17, and this is where it will remain for the rest of our leveling. And finally, at level 20, we are a level 9 Fighter, and we get the Indomitable feature here, which lets us reroll a saving throw that we fail, and when we do so, we have to use the new roll, and we can't do this again until we finish a long rest. At level 20, what do I think of this build? I think that Dungeons & Dragons needs to give more variety to strength based on our fighting. However, that being said, we do hit decently hard for someone not really using a weapon or any magic. We're tanky with over 200 hit points, and we're not hard to hit, but we're not necessarily easy to hit either. We can take hits and hit back just as hard. We also have some party utility with giving advantage and disadvantage, or forcing someone to reroll an attack, stunning enemies, and being a general nuisance to enemies that we're fighting. I hope you all enjoyed the build. Thank you all so much for the get well wishes while I was sick. And as for the announcement I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it is that I have opened up a Patreon because I was asked to. The link will be in the description. I'm not going to talk about it at length, but it does have some perks for those of you who wish to support me over there. So if that interests you, go over there and check it out. I will leave a link in the description. Hey guys, Future Casualty here recording the outro. I am feeling a ton better. I'm sorry it took so long for this video to come out. I had a lot of procrastination I was working through, and I'm glad that you guys stuck around and watched my content, so thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day.